Final Stop Brazil, Book 2, Life After Hell, Chapter 54, Historic Center of Salvador. The day Sampa disappeared was the Saturday Marcio and one of his friends came to pick up the sofa bed, dishes, his chairs, the table, and the borrowed radio. This morning Sampa was very affectionate and never left my side when I was washing my laundry outside. Finally, it became too hot for him, and he lay down under the large mango tree in the garden. I looked around the corner and was overwhelmed by the sight. This ugly, malnourished something, full of dirt and fleas with ears too large, had become a healthy, handsome, and proud dog which had absolutely no resemblance to a bed. On the contrary, as he lay in his proud, bold, and unconventional manner under the tree, front legs stretched out, straight with his head held high, he was very similar to an undersized shepherd. I hurried into the house to fetch my camera. This sight I wanted to capture on camera, but Sampa followed me into the house. Too bad. I didn't know then that this opportunity I had missed was the last to take a picture of him, that this day was the last we had together. When Marcio carried the furniture with his friend out of the gate, Sampa ran out with him. This didn't worry me in any way because he did this often now. Played outside with other dogs and just ran through the area, but he avoided cars, never ran on the main road, and always came back. He cried aloud, so either I opened the gate for him or he would lay down waiting for my neighbors living in the other half of the house to enter the property with them. Spontaneously, I also got ready to go out since it was a very sunny day. And what was I supposed to do alone in this empty house, not even having a radio available anymore? Buy a new radio with CD player now? This was inconceivable to me, as simply too expensive. On the weekends, like this Saturday, when Sampa disappeared, I could exceptionally wear Bermudas and a backless top in the glorious sunshine, like all other people were here. Fortunately, there was no air condition or fan nearby. Even if I could have afforded it, both would have been an absolute taboo in my house. Recently, I had published another ad on the internet, in which I clearly pointed out that men from other states didn't need to write, neither men that were not related to my age, even though I looked still much younger, and quite frankly pointed out I didn't want men in my age. The headline of the ad had been very provocative. Can it be that Bahian men are no good? I had to realize again that I had hit the nail on the head. They were good for nothing, really, in addition to some very aggressive responses. Clearly, it was to be expected because the men were, of course, stepped on their toes. Were letters and phone calls I could forget about, or some guys that, after a few phone calls, I no longer heard anything, although they were first very enthusiastic to be meeting, but then it was cancelled with some kind of excuse. Of all those false promises and lies eventually, only Marcelo was left over. I received daily calls, and it was only him calling me because I was not spending 1 centavo on phone calls for those idiots. This Saturday we actually agreed to date, even though I knew that it did not fit with him. To me he was quite simply just an accompaniment for the day, since I had planned to get to know Pelourinho and make some nice photos, but alone was the historic old town much too dangerous. The dense concentration of tourists here is, of course, drawing most bandits and drug addicts to this location, and it often happens that tourists have their cell phones and cameras robbed. The day in Pelourinho was wonderful. I was enchanted by the historic city of Salvador. Seeing for the first time the many churches, the unique historic works of art, those cobblestone streets lined with colorful houses, all reminiscent of former centuries and the time of slavery. Everywhere crafts and paintings were sold. The view from the Cruz Caído down onto the open sea, fantastically beautiful at sunset. However, Marcelo was just by appearance one big disappointment. No bigger than me with a beer belly. His face not ugly, but he had bad teeth. It reminded me again very much that I needed a dentist. I couldn't afford it though. With his appearance, however, he seemed to have expected something like Heidi Klum. Is her name still Klum? Because soon it became apparent that the chemistry was not right between me and him. When he invited me for a beer, next downside, because I had already made very clear that I don't like beer, which was simply ignored. He shot the absolute number when he tried to send me home in the early afternoon because he was planning to watch a football match on TV. Who was sending home whom was finally me when I left him standing, taken aback, decidedly turned around and quickly aimed straight towards the group of capoeiras, calling and waving at me all ready to approach them. I promptly divided the drums with a percussionist and felt my blood rushing through my veins. Without ever having played before, I drummed in complete accordance with my partner, was in top form, felt alone much better, fooled around with the capoeiras, shot some beautiful photos, amused myself with other street musicians, shot, now becoming brave, many more photos, including the giant Lacerda elevator, which leads down from the old town to the new town.